Commander Vox Naziri stood at the podium, his purple-scaled hands adjusting the microphone as the assembled representatives of the Galactic Alliance shifted in their seats. The massive chamber of the High Council buzzed with whispers and occasional bursts of laughter. Vox cleared his throat, the sound echoing through the hall. Esteemed members of the Alliance, I present to you today our newest potential addition, Earth. He gestured toward the small delegation of humans who sat rigidly in the front row, their faces a mixture of awe and discomfort. A rumble of snickers rippled through the chamber. A squid-like Neptunian in the third row gurgled something to his neighbor, who exploded in tentacle-slapping mirth. Yes, yes, laugh it up. Vox tapped his claws impatiently on the podium. I'm sure we all remember the reception the Fraxians received, and now they lead our scientific division. From the VIP section, General Kraz Tul-Par of the Centaurian Legion rose to his 4 hooved feet. His massive upper torso, covered in gleaming ceremonial armor, cast a shadow over the delegates seated nearby. The jeweled metals adorning his chest clinked as he snorted dismissively. Commander, with all due respect to your optimism, he said, the last word dripping with sarcasm, these creatures barely managed interplanetary travel. My scouts report they still wage wars against themselves over primitive resources. Their bodies lack even basic durability upgrades. And their strongest specimens would struggle against our youngest cadets. The human delegates bristled but remained silent, as protocol demanded. Kraz continued, his booming voice echoing. Their atmosphere is pathetically oxygen-rich, their gravity laughably weak, and they spend a third of their lives unconscious. Unconscious. They call it sleep. He emphasized the word as though describing a particularly disgusting disease. Vox raised a hand. Your objections are noted, General. However, Alliance Charter Section 87B clearly states all sentient species who achieve autonomous space travel are entitled to consideration. He turned back to the assembly. And consideration, as we all know, means the trials. At this, the chamber erupted in excited chatter. The trials were not merely a formality, they were spectacular entertainment, broadcast across 27 systems. The combat trials will commence in 14 solar cycles, Vox announced. As per tradition, the humans will face challenges of strength, endurance, and battlefield prowess against representatives from established Alliance species. Kraz settled back into his seat with a satisfied smirk. Perfect. I volunteer the Centaurian Elite Guard as their primary opponents. His yellow eyes fixed on the humans with predatory anticipation. Try not to break too easily, squishies. The viewing audience appreciates at least some suspense before the inevitable failure. One of the human delegates, a silver-haired woman, leaned to whisper something to her colleague. Kraz's enhanced hearing caught her words. They have no idea what humans are capable of. The general's lips curled into a cruel smile. How amusing, he thought. The little creatures actually believed they had a chance. 3 days later, the Alliance delegation descended upon Earth's United Military Complex in Nevada. The compound had been hastily repurposed for the occasion, with flags of all nations fluttering side by side beneath the scorching desert sun. Ambassador Lerna Vex of the Galactic Alliance inspection team flicked her tongue as she surveyed the assembled human military forces. Her reptilian features remained impassive, but the twitch of her tail betrayed her boredom. Beside her, General Kraz Tul-Par loomed like a mountain of muscle and armor, his arms crossed over his massive chest. This is the best you have to offer. Kraz gestured toward the demonstration area where Earth's elite soldiers were showcasing their combat abilities. Your strongest can barely lift 300 kilograms, your fastest cannot outrun our children, and your weapons technology quaint at best. United Nations Secretary Huang stood straighter, fighting to maintain diplomatic composure. Perhaps conventional measurements don't tell the full story, General. Humans have other qualities. Yes, yes, interrupted Kraz with a dismissive wave. Your supposed adaptability and creativity. The last 6 species who joined claimed similar intangible qualities. They all failed spectacularly in the arena. He consulted his holographic clipboard. Now present your champions so we can begin processing their genetic profiles for the combat zones. Secretary Huang nodded to a stern-faced colonel who stepped forward with a tablet. We've selected our finest Navy SEAL Commander Jackson, Russian Spetsnaz Captain Orlova, and Chinese Special Forces Major Li. Ambassador Lerna scanned the candidates with specialized ocular implants, recording their biometrics. Acceptable, if unremarkable, she hissed softly. That's when the commotion started at the perimeter. A slight figure in simple black clothing had somehow bypassed the security checkpoints. He walked calmly toward the delegation, ignoring the soldiers who scrambled to intercept him. Despite moving at what appeared to be a leisurely pace, he reached the central platform before anyone could stop him. I am Takeo Yamamoto, he announced with a bow. I volunteer for the trials. Colonel Morrison stepped between Takeo and the aliens. This is unacceptable. This civilian is not on our roster. He has no military standing, no clearance, and no authorization to be here. Kraz, however, seemed suddenly interested. His yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the human. Takeo stood perhaps 5 feet 7 inches tall, with a lean build that appeared almost fragile next to Earth's hulking military specialists. He carried no visible weapons, wore no armor, just simple black garments that looked little different from civilian clothing. And what exactly do you bring to these trials, tiny human? Kraz asked, not bothering to hide his amusement. Takeo met the alien's gaze without flinching. What is needed? Ambassador Lerna consulted her datapad. The Alliance charter is quite clear. Section 423 states that any willing volunteer from the applicant species may participate, provided they meet basic physiological parameters for survival in the trial environments. She looked up. He qualifies. But he's not a soldier, protested Secretary Huang. Mr. Yamamoto, while we appreciate your patriotism, this is not a matter for civilians. Takeo remained unmoved. I represent traditions older than your modern militaries. I will stand for Earth. Kraz burst into laughter, a booming sound that echoed across the complex. Oh, this is too perfect. The humans send us a miniature unarmed civilian against Centaurian elite guards. He wiped actual tears of mirth from his eyes. Ambassador Lerna, I insist we accept this volunteer. The viewing audiences across the galaxy will appreciate the comedy before the bloodshed begins. Lerna nodded, her expression unreadable. Volunteer accepted. Takeo Yamamoto of Earth is now officially entered into the combat trials. As Kraz continued to chuckle, Takeo simply bowed again. Not a flicker of emotion crossed his face. The galactic arena loomed before the human delegation like a massive steel and crystal lotus, its petals unfurled against the backdrop of swirling nebula gases. For officially designated Combat Assessment Facility D7, the space station spanned nearly 12 kilometers at its widest point. Hovering at the nexus of 7 major trade routes, it served as both combat proving ground and the galaxy's premier entertainment venue. As the human transport shuttle docked in one of the hundreds of bays lining the outer ring, Commander Jackson fidgeted with the collar of his dress uniform. Stop that, hissed Captain Orlova, though her own forehead glistened with nervous perspiration. They are already watching us, analyzing every movement for weakness. Major Li nodded in agreement, his knuckles white as he gripped the armrests during the final docking procedure. Only Takeo Yamamoto appeared relaxed, sitting cross-legged on the floor with his eyes closed, breathing deeply and evenly. Secretary Huang frowned at the sight. Mr. Yamamoto, please take a proper seat. We must present ourselves with dignity when the doors open. Takeo's eyes remained closed. I am preparing in my own way, Secretary. Despite his polite tone, there was something in his voice that discouraged further comment. The airlock doors slid open with a theatrical hiss, and a wave of sound washed over them, thousands of alien spectators roaring, clicking, whistling and buzzing in what could only be described as excited bloodlust. "Welcome, sentience of all configurations." The voice boomed through the station's public address system, somehow managing to convey sarcasm despite its artificial nature. "This is your host, Maximum Entertainment Interface, but you can call me Max, because we're all friends here until the bloodshed starts." The crowd erupted in appreciative noise. Today we welcome our newest contestants. Give it up for the humans of Earth. Currently carrying odds of approximately 1 million to 1 against surviving the first round. That's not a joke, folks, that's the actual betting line. Screens throughout the docking bay displayed various alien faces contorted in what the humans assumed was laughter. In one corner, a towering 6-armed creature was collecting credit chips from a line of spectators. Place your bets now on how quickly they'll be obliterated. Will they last 5 minutes? 2 minutes? My personal prediction, 17 seconds before the first human goes splat. The delegation was met by a hovering spherical drone with a cartoonish face displayed on its screen. That would be me, Max, in the mechanical flesh. I'll be your guide, commentator, and eventually, eulogist. The drone spun in a cheerful circle. Follow me to your preparation area, where you can enjoy your last moments of being intact bipedal organisms. As they walked through the corridor, the screens on either side displayed highlight reels from previous competitions. The scenes were not encouraging various species being crushed, thrown, electrocuted, and otherwise decimated in increasingly creative ways. General Kraz Tool Par waited for them in a luxurious observation lounge overlooking the main arena. Ah, the Earth delegation. Just in time to witness the calibration of today's challenges. He gestured toward the massive arena floor below, where robotic arms were arranging obstacles, weapons, and what appeared to be pools of bubbling acid. Impressive, isn't it? The gravity generators alone can simulate up to 50 times Earth standard. The combat drones are programmed with fighting techniques from 300 conquered civilizations. His yellow eyes gleamed with malicious pleasure. And the best part, we've deactivated all the safety protocols for your trials. Special treat for our newest applicants. Takeo stepped forward, examining the arena with quiet interest. "An honorable challenge," he said simply. Kraz snorted. "Honor? This is about survival, little human. No Earth creature has ever faced anything like what awaits you down there." He leaned in, his massive form casting a shadow over Takeo. "I've personally designed the final chamber. No non-Centaurian has ever emerged alive." Takeo met his gaze. There is always a first time. "Ladies, gentlemen, and unclassifiable biological anomalies." Max's voice thundered across the arena as holographic displays flickered to life. "Welcome to the preliminary trials." The cavernous space had transformed into a multi-level obstacle course. Pools of churning liquid metal separated platforms of varying heights. Mechanical arms swung massive weighted clubs through predetermined arcs. In several sections, the artificial gravity visibly distorted the air, creating shimmering pockets of intensified force. Commander Jackson was first up, facing the initial strength trial against a stone-skinned Jovarian. The challenge: move a series of increasingly heavy metal spheres from one pedestal to another within a gravity well gradually increasing to 8 times Earth normal. Jackson performed admirably for a human. He managed to shift the first 3 spheres, muscles straining, veins bulging along his temples. But when the 4th sphere was released, the increased gravity drove him to his knees. He struggled valiantly, barely budging the object while the Jovarian casually hoisted its own sphere with one tentacle. "Oh, would you look at that display of, well, I hesitate to call it strength." Max zoomed his drone body in for a close-up of Jackson's contorted face. The human appears to be entering some form of distress. Those colors can't be normal. Is that red pigment leaking from his facial capillaries? From the VIP observation deck, Kraz's booming laugh carried across the arena. "Is this truly your finest warrior?" My youngest recruits perform better in basic training. Next came Captain Orlova in the endurance trial, a simple race across electrified terrain while carrying load-bearing weights. She started strong, her specialized training evident in her technique, but when faced with the three Arcturian competitors, whose multiple legs clattered like living machines, she fell hopelessly behind. By the midpoint, the Arcturians had finished while she struggled to maintain consciousness under the combination of electrical shocks and crushing weight. And the human competitor finishes eventually. Max announced as Orlova finally crossed the line, collapsing immediately afterward. Someone should probably check if she's still alive. No rush, though our medical facilities can revive anything with at least 2 functioning organs. Major Live fared better in the tactical response scenario, a holographic battle simulation where he needed to counter attacks from multiple angles. His martial arts background served him well, allowing him to predict and counter several waves of attacks before being overwhelmed by the sheer speed of the simulation's advanced levels. A respectable showing from the human. He almost made it to intermediate difficulty, Max announced, bobbing excitedly. Of course, most species start their younglings at advanced difficulty, but hey, everyone has to begin somewhere. Throughout these trials, Takeo sat cross-legged at the edge of the competitor's area, watching intently. His eyes tracked every movement, every mechanism, every subtle shift in the arena's configuration. Occasionally, he would tilt his head slightly, as though listening to something no one else could hear. General Kraz noticed this behavior and sauntered over, his massive hooves echoing against the metal floor. Studying won't help you, little human. These challenges are designed to test inherent biological capabilities. No amount of observation will give you strength you don't possess. Takeo didn't respond, his attention fixed on a draconian competitor completing the agility course at blinding speed. Kraz snorted. Not even the courtesy to acknowledge your superiors. Typical primitive behavior. He raised his voice to address the other human competitors who were receiving medical attention. Your species lacks even the most basic evolutionary advantages. You have no natural weapons, no exoskeletons, no redundant organs. You're soft-skinned, weak-muscled, and pathetically fragile. Despite the insults, Takeo's expression remained unchanged. Max's drone body whirled overhead, projecting his announcement to the entire stadium. After careful assessment of the preliminary trials, the Galactic Alliance Admission Committee has reached a decision. The humans have performed well. They've performed. Let's be charitable and call it not entirely disastrous. The crowd roared with laughter. Due to their surprising, and I mean truly shocking, ability to survive the preliminaries without immediate fatal consequences, and the committee has graciously permitted Earth's representatives to advance to the final challenge. Holographic displays throughout the arena shifted to show tournament brackets. As tradition dictates for species deemed developmentally challenged. Max continued, his artificial voice dripping with sarcasm. The final assessment will be a one-on-one combat tournament. Each Earth representative will face champions from established Alliance species. Win or lose, though, let's be honest. It's definitely going to be lose. This will establish Earth's formal combat rating in the galactic hierarchy. The brackets finalized, showing the human competitors matched against formidable opponents. Commander Jackson was paired with a hulking Urshan warrior 3 times his size. Captain Orlova faced a tentacled Neptunian known for asphyxiating opponents. Major Lee drew a 4-armed Proximan Blade Master. At the bottom of the bracket, Takeo Yamamoto's name appeared beside that of Grax, a towering draconian with a perfect combat record and a reputation for unnecessarily brutal victories. Let the entertainingly one-sided slaughter begin, Max announced cheerfully. I mean tournament. Definitely meant tournament. The combat arena transformed once more, its floor now a perfect circle of polished black stone. Transparent force fields rose around the perimeter, protecting spectators from what was about to unfold inside. Welcome to the main event. Max's enthusiasm seemed to have doubled. Our special tournament featuring Earth's soon-to-be pulverized representatives. Let's not waste time with lengthy introductions, since several of these matches might be shorter than the introductions themselves. Commander Jackson entered first, his military training evident in his disciplined stance. His opponent, the Urgian warrior Gorgoth, lumbered into the arena on all fours before rising to its full height of nearly 3 meters. Jackson appeared like a child next to the massive ursine alien. What followed was less a fight and more a demonstration. Jackson landed several well-executed strikes, each having absolutely no effect on his opponent. When Gorgoth finally attacked, a single swipe sent Jackson flying into the force field. The medical drones retrieved him before he even hit the ground. 7 seconds. A new record for the shortest match in tournament history. Max announced. Though technically the human is still alive, so there's that moral victory. Captain Orlova fared marginally better against her Neptunian opponent. Her combat strategy was sound. She kept her distance, trying to tire the tentacled creature. But after 90 seconds of cat and mouse, the Neptunian simply liquefied part of its body, creating a puddle that Orlova didn't notice until she stepped in it. The reformed tentacles wrapped around her legs, then her torso, until unconsciousness claimed her. A valiant 1 minute and 37 seconds from the human female. She'll regain consciousness eventually, with only minor psychological trauma from the experience. Major Lee's match against the 4-armed Proximan Blade Master showcased his impressive martial arts skills. His precise movements and counterattacks even drew grudging appreciation from some spectators. For almost 3 minutes, he dodged the lightning-fast blade strikes, even landing a solid kick that staggered his opponent. But inevitably, the sheer speed and multiple limb advantage prevailed. Lee was defeated with a bladeless strike to his solar plexus that left him gasping on the arena floor. Our longest human performance yet. 3 minutes and 12 seconds. The betting pools are in chaos. Max zoomed around excitedly. And now, for our final human sacrifice, competitor, please welcome the completely unqualified and hilariously outmatched Takeo Yamamoto. Takeo walked calmly into the arena, his bare feet silent against the stone. He wore the same simple black clothes as before, no armor, no weapons. He stopped in the center and bowed deeply toward his opponent's entrance. The draconian warrior Grax burst through his entrance, 7 feet of armored, scaled fury. 2 massive horns curved from his temples, and razor-sharp talons extended from each fingertip. He carried no weapons. His body was weapon enough. His entrance was met with thunderous applause. When the crowd caught sight of the size difference between the combatants, the arena erupted in laughter so loud it temporarily overwhelmed the sound system. Max recovered quickly. Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted entities, I'm not sure this match meets our ethical guidelines for entertainment. We might be witnessing an actual murder. From his VIP box, General Kraz rose to his feet, raising his voice to be heard throughout the arena. I wish to place a public wager. The crowd hushed immediately, anticipating the spectacle. I bet 50,000 galactic credits that this pathetic human doesn't last 10 seconds against Grax. The statement was met with raucous approval. The official bookmakers frantically adjusted their odds. A bold wager from General Kraz. Max announced, "Does anyone dare take the opposing position?" Commander Vox Naziri stood from his seat. "I accept the wager," he said calmly. The crowd gasped, then dissolved into amused chatter at what appeared to be a foolish bet. Down in the arena, Takeo remained motionless, his eyes closed as if in meditation. Grax circled him, occasionally snapping his jaws or swiping talons near Takeo's face, trying to provoke a reaction. None came. "Competitors ready? Then begin," Max announced. Grax lunged forward with frightening speed, claws extended for what should have been a match-ending strike. But Takeo wasn't there. A collective gasp rose from the crowd as the human seemed to simply flow around the attack like water around stone. Not dodging something more fundamental, as if he had anticipated the strike before Grax had even conceived it. The Draconian roared in frustration, launching into a blistering series of attacks. Claws slashed through empty air, a tail whip that could shatter concrete passed harmlessly overhead as Takeo ducked precisely the necessary amount, not a centimeter more. 15 seconds. Max announced, his artificial voice betraying genuine shock. The human has survived 15 seconds. Grax became increasingly enraged, his attacks growing wilder, less controlled. Takeo remained composed, his movements economical and precise. He had yet to launch a single offensive move, but his defense appeared impenetrable. Then, as Grax overextended on a particularly vicious lunge, Takeo finally struck. His movement was almost too fast to follow a precise strike to a point just below the Draconian's jaw. Grax staggered, momentarily stunned. The crowd fell silent. Takeo followed with a series of lightning-fast strikes to specific points on Grax's torso and limbs. Each hit looked almost gentle, nothing like the powerful blows the other humans had attempted. Yet after each touch, the corresponding part of Grax's body seemed to lose function. Within seconds, the mighty Draconian crashed to the arena floor, conscious but completely immobilized. The silence in the arena was absolute. I don't what just happened? Max finally exclaimed, zooming frantically around Grax's fallen form. The human has won. Is that allowed? News of the human's victory spread through the station like wildfire. What had begun as a comical sideshow suddenly became the main attraction. The tournament brackets were hastily reorganized, with Takeo now advancing to face champions who had been waiting in the wings. His next opponent was Exilthos, an amorphous Mercurian capable of reshaping its silvery body into various weapons. The match was expected to be brief. How could a human possibly counter an opponent that could transform at will? Round 2 begins. Takeo Yamamoto versus the literally mercurial Exilthos. Max announced, his tone noticeably less mocking than before. After that unexpected first round, let's see if our human competitor can repeat the miracle, or if order will be restored to the galaxy. The Mercurian flowed across the arena floor like quicksilver, suddenly erupting into a forest of razor-sharp spikes directly beneath Takeo. The human leaped with impossible grace, twisting in midair to avoid the deadly protrusions. Extraordinary vertical leap from the human. Max commented. That's well beyond normal human physiological parameters. For nearly 5 minutes, Exilthos transformed, relentlessly becoming whips, blades, hammers, and nets in rapid succession. Yet Takeo evaded each attack with fluid precision. He seemed to anticipate every transformation before it materialized, positioning himself perfectly each time. Then, in a move that left spectators baffled, Takeo produced a small pouch from his clothing. With a flick of his wrist, he scattered what appeared to be ordinary sand across the Mercurian's surface. The effect was immediate and dramatic wherever the grains touched. Exilthos's fluid form solidified, unable to shift or flow. He's using primitive particulate matter to disrupt the Mercurian's molecular cohesion. Max's voice conveyed genuine astonishment. That's not possible. The science doesn't support this. Within moments, Exilthos was completely immobilized, its surface crystallized into a brittle shell. The match was called. In the VIP section, General Kraz pounded his fist against the railing. This is absurd. No human could know the molecular weaknesses of a Mercurian. He must have been given inside information. I demand an investigation. Ambassador Lerna placed a calming hand on his arm. The human had no contact with anyone between matches. The monitors confirm this. Then he's using hidden technology. Kraz insisted. Scan him. The third match paired Takeo against Borax, a psychic Pleiadian capable of anticipating opponents' moves by reading their thoughts. Borex entered the arena with supreme confidence. No physical skill could overcome the advantage of foreknowledge. Yet from the moment the match began, the Pleiadian appeared confused, almost disoriented. He stumbled about the arena as if blind, his predicted strikes hitting nothing but air. Something extraordinary is happening here. Max zoomed in close to the Pleiadian's face, which was contorted in concentration. Borex appears to be unable to read the human's intentions. This is unprecedented. After several minutes of ineffective flailing, Borex collapsed to his knees, clutching his head in apparent pain. Takeo approached calmly and placed 2 fingers against the alien's temple. The Pleiadian immediately slumped unconscious. I've never seen anything like this in 273 years of tournament broadcasting. Max's excitement was palpable. Who is this human? Between matches, Alliance scientists subjected Takeo to increasingly invasive scans, searching for hidden technology, genetic modifications, or neural implants that could explain his abilities. They found nothing beyond standard human biology. Impossible, muttered the chief examiner, a multi-eyed Syrian with advanced degrees in xenobiology. His cellular structure is completely normal. No text signatures, no unusual energy readings. He's just human. During the brief respite before his 4th match, a junior reporter managed to approach Takeo in the preparation area. "The whole station is talking about you," she said, her recording device hovering nearby. "Where did you learn to fight like this?" Takeo smiled slightly, his first display of emotion since arriving. "I am the 23rd generation descended from the Yamamoto ninja clan of feudal Japan. We have preserved our arts for over 8 centuries, passing knowledge from master to student in unbroken succession." "Ninja?" The reporter looked confused. "Our databases show that's just old Earth entertainment fictional assassins with magical powers." "A convenient misconception," Takeo replied. "True ninjas never sought fame or recognition. We operate in shadow, preserving ancient wisdom that modern science has forgotten or never understood." The interview was cut short as General Kraz stormed into the preparation area, flanked by security drones. "This farce has gone on long enough," he bellowed. "No primitive could defeat our champions without cheating. I've analyzed the footage. He's using some form of primitive hypnosis or optical illusion to confuse his opponents." Commander Vox Naziri appeared in the doorway. "The Alliance Council has reviewed your accusations, General. Multiple independent examinations have found no evidence of cheating. The matches continue as scheduled." Kraz's yellow eyes narrowed dangerously. "Then I invoke the right of challenge. If this human survives his remaining matches, I will face him myself." He leaned closer to Takeo. "And I assure you, whatever tricks you're using won't work on a Centaurian elite." Takeo simply bowed. "I look forward to the opportunity, General." As Takeo prepared for his next match against an 8-limbed arachnoid fighter, Max's commentary took on a tone of genuine respect. "Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted sentience. We are witnessing something historic today, a revelation that will reshape our understanding of Earth and its inhabitants. This unassuming human has single-handedly advanced through multiple rounds against the galaxy's premier fighters. The question on everyone's minds now: how far can he go?" The arena had never been so packed. Every seat, standing area, and viewing platform was filled to capacity. Those who couldn't secure spots in person watched via holographic feeds transmitted to 27 star systems. Gambling operations had temporarily crashed under the weight of unprecedented betting volume. Sentience of the galaxy. Max's voice resonated throughout the station with theatrical grandeur. "We have arrived at the championship match. A battle no one could have predicted when this tournament began. The undefeated champion of the Centaurian Legion versus Earth's mysterious ninja." The arena floor had been reconfigured into a larger circular platform with various terrain features, rock formations, shallow water pools, and metal barricades that could provide tactical cover. In my centuries of broadcasting, never has there been such anticipation. Max zoomed around the arena perimeter, his drone body practically vibrating with excitement. The question on everyone's consciousness mattresses: can the impossible streak continue? Takeo entered first, walking to the center with the same measured steps he had displayed from the beginning. He wore the same simple black garments, carried no visible weapons, and showed no signs of fatigue despite his previous matches. The opposite doors slid open with a dramatic hiss, releasing clouds of theatrical smoke. General Kraz Tolpar emerged, but no longer in his ceremonial uniform. He was encased in powered battle armor, a technological marvel of Centaurian military engineering. The exoskeleton amplified his already formidable strength, while built-in shield generators created a faint blue aura around his massive form. Various weapon systems protruded from the armor's shoulders, forearms, and chest. The general has opted for full Class 5 combat enhancement, Max announced. That's military-grade technology rarely seen outside actual warfare. This might be the most one-sided championship in tournament history. The crowd roared as Kraz stomped toward the center, each footfall leaving small craters in the arena floor. He towered over Takeo, nearly 3 times the human's mass. "No tricks will save you now, Earth creature," Kraz growled, his voice amplified by the armor's external speakers. "I've analyzed recordings of all your previous matches. Your pressure point techniques are useless against my armor. Your evasion tactics will fail against my targeting systems. Your primitive powders and potions cannot penetrate my shields." Takeo bowed respectfully. "An impressive array of technology, General. Prepare for combat," Max announced. "Championship match beginning in 3, 2, 1, engage." Kraz attacked immediately, launching a barrage of energy bolts from his forearm cannons. Takeo dodged with his characteristic fluidity, but the sheer volume of fire made perfect evasion impossible. A glancing blast caught his shoulder, spinning him around. Another seared across his thigh. "First blood to the general," Max exclaimed. "The human is finally taking damage." Kraz pressed his advantage, activating jump jets that launched his armored form into the air. He came down like a meteor, the impact sending a shockwave across the arena floor. Takeo was thrown off his feet, rolling awkwardly before regaining his stance. For the first time, the human appeared to be struggling. His movements, while still impressive, lacked their previous perfection. Blood trickled from a cut on his forehead. His breathing had become labored. The tide has turned. Max's commentary reached a fevered pitch. The human's remarkable run appears to be ending. The natural order of the galaxy is being restored. In the spectator section, Commander Jackson leaned toward Captain Orlova. "Something's wrong. He's fighting differently." Orlova nodded. "He's limiting himself. Watch his footwork, he's staying grounded when before he was practically defying gravity." Kraz charged forward, armor servos whining as he threw a devastating punch that would have shattered concrete. Takeo blocked, rather than evaded a catastrophic error. The force sent him flying backward into one of the rock formations, which crumbled around him. A potentially fatal blow. Max screeched, medical drones on standby. The crowd fell silent as dust settled around the impact site. For several seconds there was no movement. Then, slowly, Takeo emerged from the rubble. His black garments were torn and dusty. He limped slightly as he returned to the center of the arena. Kraz laughed, the sound booming through his armor speakers. "Had enough, human? You fought well for a primitive. Surrender now, and you might survive." Takeo straightened his posture. Then, to everyone's surprise, he smiled. "You are correct, General. It's time to end this charade." His voice had changed stronger, more resonant. "I have learned what I needed about your technology and capabilities. Now, permit me to show you what humans are truly capable of." With deliberate movements, Takeo removed small weights that had been concealed beneath his clothing attached to his wrists, ankles, and torso. Training weights? Max zoomed in for a close-up. The human was handicapping himself. When Takeo moved again, the difference was immediate and dramatic. His speed doubled, then tripled. He seemed to flicker rather than run, appearing in multiple positions almost simultaneously. Kraz's targeting systems struggled to lock on, energy bolts hitting nothing but air. Impossible. Kraz roared, activating all weapons systems simultaneously. The arena became a storm of energy beams, explosive projectiles, and seismic shock waves. Takeo's response defied comprehension. He ran directly up a vertical rock face, lipped between energy beams as if they were stationary objects, and produced small scrolls from hidden pockets in his garments. With precise movements, his fingers formed complex patterns while he chanted in an ancient Japanese dialect. What is happening? Max's artificial voice cracked with confusion. The human is performing some kind of ritual. Suddenly, the air around Takeo shimmered. Multiple translucent images of him appeared, surrounding Kraz from all angles. The general fired frantically at each image, but his shots passed through them harmlessly. Primitive illusions. Kraz bellowed, though uncertainty had crept into his voice. His armor sensors could not distinguish the real human from the duplicates. The true Takeo appeared directly behind Kraz, fingers pressed against specific points on the armor. At each touch, small electrical discharges coursed through the metal. Systems began to fail, first the targeting array, then shield generators, finally the servo-assisted joints. The human is somehow deactivating the armor with his bare hands. Max was practically screaming now. This violates every known principle of technology. Within moments, Kraz stood immobilized, his multi-million credit combat suit reduced to dead weight. Takeo calmly walked around to face the general, then pressed 2 fingers against the faceplate of the armor. A small pulse of energy visible only as a brief blue glow emanated from his fingertips. The entire armor system powered down. Kraz, unable to support its weight without power assistance, crashed to his knees. Pressure point techniques work on technology as well as biology, General, Takeo explained quietly. Energy flows through circuits, just as it flows through living bodies. One who understands these patterns can disrupt both. With a final precise strike to the armor's central power core, Takeo ended the match. Kraz toppled forward, conscious but completely immobilized within his own defensive shell. The stadium erupted in chaos, cheers, gasps, arguments, celebrations. Bookmakers wept. Scientists furiously documented every detail. Representatives from dozens of species demanded explanations. Above it all, Max's voice, unbelievable, unprecedented, unexplainable. The human has defeated the champion. Earth stands victorious. 3 days later, in the Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Alliance, Earth's admission ceremony proceeded with unprecedented pomp. The chamber, once filled with mockery, now buzzed with excited whispers and speculative theories. Representatives from dozens of species craned, twisted, or extended various sensory appendages for a better view of the human delegation. Commander Vox Naziri stood at the podium, his expression professionally neutral despite the satisfaction evident in his eyes. By unanimous vote of the Council, Earth is hereby welcomed as the newest member of the Galactic Alliance, with full rights and privileges thereof. He paused as applause filled the chamber. Furthermore, Earth's combat rating has been provisionally established at Class A pending further evaluation. Gasps rippled through the assembly. Class A placed humans among the top tier of combat-capable species, alongside civilizations with evolutionary advantages developed over millions of years. From his seat, now minus his ceremonial armor, General Kraz Tolpar rose slowly. The proud Centaurian's posture was noticeably stiff. His medical treatment had restored mobility, but pride healed more slowly than tissue. As the ranking military officer of the Centaurian Legion, He announced formally, "I wish to acknowledge a grave error in assessment." The words clearly pained him. Humans possess capabilities that transcend conventional military metrics. I retract my previous statements regarding Earth's combat readiness. Max's drone body hovered near Takeo, who stood quietly at the back of the human delegation. A red recording light blinked as the AI conducted his post-tournament interview. "So the question everyone's asking, how did you do it?" Max's voice had lost its mocking edge, replaced with genuine curiosity. "No technology, no genetic enhancements, no artificial augmentations, yet you defeated the most advanced combat systems in the galaxy." Takeo smiled slightly. "Human history spans thousands of years. During that time, we developed arts and sciences that your civilization might consider primitive, yet they harness energies and principles your scanners cannot detect. Our true strength lies not in technology, but in our adaptability and the wisdom accumulated across generations." "And are there more like you on Earth?" Max pressed. "I represent but one tradition among many. Earth harbors numerous hidden arts passed down through ancient lineages, martial techniques, mental disciplines, energy manipulation methods. What you witnessed was merely one expression of human potential." The interview broadcast throughout the station, watched by countless aliens who had previously dismissed humans as inconsequential. Now, diplomatic requests for cultural exchanges with Earth flooded in. Scientific teams scrambled to revise fundamental theories about energy manipulation. Military strategists began frantically reassessing combat doctrines. As the ceremony concluded, Commander Vox approached Takeo. "You've changed everything," he said quietly. "The Alliance has grown complacent, believing technology alone determines advancement. You've reminded us of a truth we'd forgotten." Takeo bowed respectfully. "Every civilization has its blind spots, Commander. Perhaps that is why we need each other." Max's drone hovered nearby, his final broadcast reaching the furthest corners of Alliance space, and there you have it. Sentience. A historic day for the Galactic Alliance and a lesson for us all. Earth, that tiny blue planet we so readily dismissed, has proven that appearances deceive and ancient wisdom sometimes trumps advanced technology. His artificial voice dropped to a conspiratorial tone. "So next time you encounter a quiet, unassuming human who doesn't seem impressed by your fancy tech or superior biology, maybe, just maybe, you should be the one worrying." This is Max, signing off with some free advice. Don't poke the species whose greatest weapons remain hidden. You might not like what emerges from the shadows,